everyone. We are Geeks Not Nerds. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And welcome to our live GNN. Obviously, a lot of you probably watching this when it's not live, but we did broadcast this live pretty obviously because it's all, you know, like a Hangout, like a Google Hangout, and then with you know, the video quality of a digital camera, or digital camera. I mean, I guess it's all digital, a webcam. Anyway, today, Vince and I are going to talk for the next 50 minutes or so. We wanted to make sure that we could get this in before people were going to watch Arrow. So wherever we are, we're going to stop just before it's time for Arrow. And Arrow. And by the way, speaking of, quick plug, Arrow Discussions begins again on Monday. That has nothing to do.
That's true.
That's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the closest thing. Anyway, we're going to start Arrow Discussions on Monday, and we will be starting Flash Discussions, the very first episode of Flash Discussions on Friday. So look forward to that and more. Right now, Vince and I are going to chat a little bit about Spider-Man and the possibility of Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The internet has been all at Twitter. On Twitter and other places about this.
That would be called extra Twitter, right?
There's been a lot of rumors. Extra Twitter, yeah. That's when you have tweets, but then you have more tweets than you thought you'd have. Anyway,
Apple Twitter.
So anyway, we wanted to talk about this because this is, of course, a thing that people have been thinking about for the last couple of years. There's been rumors going around maybe eventually Marvel Cinematic Universe will be able to kind of grandfather in Spider-Man, and that whole universe will be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Sony and Marvel will strike some sort of a deal to make this happen. All of a sudden, lots of people that didn't even know that that was a possibility, that it almost happened even, or at least it almost... We didn't almost get Spider-Man in Avengers stuff already, but we almost got Osborn Tower in a wide shot in Avengers, and so they were already talking about this. Apparently, they couldn't quite make the deal happen in time to get that in. Or was it, I forget if it was that, or if it was that they already had the effects done, so they just couldn't go back in and put the effects. I forget what the deal was. But anyway, that didn't happen. That fell through, but there's still a really good possibility it's going to happen now, apparently. And suddenly everybody's like, oh no, wow, that's crazy. That's a thing that can actually happen? Because there's been a lot more talk, both from Marvel and Sony this week, about the potential of that, apparently. This is old Rumorville, but it's the kind of rumor stuff where people are beginning to take more and more stock in it. We'll explore that a little bit. What we wanted to talk about, though, was less just is it going to happen, and what's happening there. Right now, the status of that is what Vince and I wanted to talk about today was if we want to see it happen. And now that it's looking like this is a possibility, do we want to see Spider-Man grandfathered into the Marvel Universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Vince, what do you think?
I'm okay with it. I'm not saying that I need this to happen, but I'm excited about the idea of it possibly happening, mainly because it doesn't make sense to me for there to be a lone Spider-Man in his own universe. Now, the Avengers, we know that several super people exist because it's the Avengers.
Yeah.
There's more than one. So it doesn't make any sense to me how you would go to the Spider-Man universe and there would be only Spider-Man and a bunch of people that are villains. So it makes sense that you would just acknowledge that you don't necessarily need Spider-Man to be in that movie, but you can have Spider-Man in his own movie being aware of the Avengers and then having some kind of you could have that Spider-Man, that generalized Spider-Man hate that is so famous among the Spider-Man books, and that could be driven or derived or whatever the word is from the from the fact that the Avengers exist and they're kind of a franchised version of a superhero.
Might it be interesting even if Spider-Man, instead of being an Avenger, because a lot of people are either saying, I really want to see Spider-Man be an Avenger, or I really don't, and the assumption is if he's in, that's not Spider-Man, the assumption is, if he's going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, naturally, of course, he would be an Avenger. But what if he wasn't? And I always thought that it made more sense for Spider-Man. I've never really cared for Spider-Man as an Avenger. That's always been a thing. So if it happens, I kind of don't want him to be an Avenger. I kind of feel like the likelihood is he would be, in order to try to popularize that character more. If Sony and Marvel make a deal, and Sony's struggling with Spider-Man right now, there's a lot of crazy, by the way, stuff going on, or again, other rumors about how, like, they may be soft rebooting that with Sinister Six, and they may be recasting Andrew Garfield and all kinds of stuff. So Sony's struggling. They're not sure what to do with this franchise, what to do with this character. They want to do this shared universe thing, and they think, well, if we would have more validity with all of the people that really didn't like Amazing Spider-Man 2, have been really haters about our franchise, if we had him in Avengers movies, my guess is they'd try to get him in a movie before he had his own solo movie in that stuff, right? Like, so realistically, we're probably going to get him in an Avengers movie if they connect these things before we get just another Spider-Man movie, but it's also in the thing. I like your idea, though. I think it would be better, and again, this is wishful thinking. This is probably not what would happen. I would love it if Spider-Man was the one who said, I need to act on my own. I don't want to be on a team for various reasons. Part of it's just he's a college kid. He doesn't have time. You know what I mean? Like things like that. Maybe he doesn't think he's worthy or whatever. But I think it might be really cool if the people mistakenly looked at him as too much of a vigilante or too much of a problem because he won't get on board with the established order. I think that would be the new thing you could bring to this. I want to see Spider-Man not as an Avenger, but in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for two reasons. And I am going to come straight out and say this is a thing I'd like to see. I'm with you. I don't need it to happen, and I also liked Amazing Spider-Man 2 more than a whole lot of people did.
Me too.
And so I don't feel like it's broken. I do think it could be improved upon, but I don't feel like it's broken. And if they do continue on with this, I could still enjoy it. But I want to see it for two reasons. A, I think there's no reason at all that these couldn't be in the same universe already.
Yeah.
I don't think anything has happened in the current new Spider-Man reboot that precludes it from being in that universe. That's the first
Or
thing.
nothing that a soft reboot couldn't take care of.
Yeah, and the second thing is, all those peripheral characters that they're trying to create a shared Spider-Man universe with in Sony would be potentially a lot of fun to see interacting with other characters in the Marvel universe. I want to see some of Spider-Man's rogues gallery going up against people that we have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe already.
Or
Stuff like that.
What's the big prison they go to? Is it Rikers? Is that what it is?
No. That's
Is it the Vault?
You're talking about Ravencroft.
Okay, I don't know.
And the Vault's a thing too, but well, Ravencroft was in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Ravencroft is the big prison that they put Carnage in.
Okay, fair enough.
And we had it. That's why I thought that's what you're talking about. We just had it. It was in that movie.
I was talking about in the comic book specifically, but
Ravencroft was in the comics.
So you could have more of a crossover here that all of the Spider-Man villains and all of the X-Men. Woo!
And the X, yes, that's a different thing.
That's Fox.
Yeah, that's true.
that's El Zorro. So you could have all of the Spider-Man and all the Avengers villains, or whoever gets captured, whoever needs to be held for any indeterminate amount of time, could go to said prison. Insert that. Deal with it. So I'm just kind of excited about the idea of this like corporate agreement. Like two different companies can come together to create a project or create a something that influences each other. I almost think it's crazy if Sony doesn't allow this to happen.
Sony, yeah, you're right, and I mean, I almost said it wouldn't be Sony that would not allow it. Although Avi Arad recently came out and said it's not a thing he wants to see happen, and he's been spearheading these. So yeah, he says, oh, we don't need Marvel, but my whole thing, and he also says things like Spider-Man is like the biggest. Well, like he always says this with whatever character he's talking about. This is Dan Torrey's favorite thing to make fun of. Venom is most popular Marvel character. What? Well, you just said it was Spider-Man, and I'm like,
the Spot is the most popular Marvel.
I'm like, well, not according to. I'm like, well, Spider-Man's not the most popular screen character right now, according to box office numbers, both with it and Avengers. Now, I'm not saying that the last one bombed, and that's why I'm thinking it's really strange that there's this talk. And again, I don't know how rumory this is and where it came from. It's hard to tell. But I'm if doing a soft reboot. Yeah, there's been fan backlash, but the movie didn't bomb or anything. It didn't make the money they hoped it would, but it wasn't Green Lantern. Like, I'm really kind of surprised by that. But then again, I'm not surprised that they waited this long to start talking about that, given that they've been kind of on the fence and all over the place about what they want to do with it. They were like, let's do Sinister Six. And let's do Venom. Now it's looking like Venom might be up in the air. That might not even be happening now. So I mean, yeah. So here's the thing: between the two companies, let me spell this out real quick. From what I've read, Sony would want it to save the franchise. they're going to try to, if they don't use Marvel, if they don't do it with Marvel, they're going to try to save the franchise, possibly by by either expanding it out and getting people excited about other characters in it besides Spider-Man. That's kind of the strategy they're doing with Sinister Six, which seems like it's most definitely happening. And then so like with that, or if they did it with Marvel, it would be to save it. So that would be their reason to do it. Marvel Studios' reason to do it is merchandising. From what I've read, they seem to have. They seem to still make money from the Spider-Man merchandising in a way they don't with Fantastic Four. That's why they're trying to quelch the Fantastic Four movie by canceling the Fantastic Four book, because they don't. Well, I don't know if you've heard about this, but Marvel is apparently canceling the Fantastic Four book, and they don't want to hype up a competitor's movie, as if the comics are really going to be that influential in whether or not people go and see it. But sure. I am really unhappy. I think that's dirty pool. I don't like that they're doing that. I feel like they're upset because Fox hasn't let the rights revert back, and they think they're kind of rushing out this movie just to keep the rights, and that's probably true. And I don't know.
There's a long history of that with the Fantastic Four.
There is. I will be more empathetic toward the Fantastic Four movie and Fox if it's good. Yeah. I will be much more empathetic toward Marvel if it sucks. But I'm just saying that there's a reason that they have a vested interest in keeping Spider-Man alive in movies over a period of a few years before they get the rights back. Now, having said that, you gotta wonder how much of their take right now is Spider-Man merchandise, because can they not afford, with what they've got on with Marvel Studios, to let it die? I mean, to wait 3 years, because I think Sony has to make a Spider-Man movie every 3 years, I think, or something related. That's why they can get away with Sinister Six and still put off the next one, in order to keep the rights. How hard is it really going to hurt them if they wait for it? You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, if they don't wait on it and Sony keeps making movies, they're in the same place they've always been. They'll keep making money on merchandising. If they don't do that, the worst thing that could possibly happen is the rights revert back to them in 3 years, and then they can capitalize on it after that.
I wonder how much of this has to do with Disney influence. I'm not necessarily saying that I know anything about the Disney influence. I'm just saying that I wonder if there's anything that they're trying to influence, like their business plan, or saying, hey guys, we've found in the past that make money with the merchandising, and we'll wait for the thing later on. And that kind of makes sense to me, because Disney's a big merchandising powerhouse. I mean, there's the Disney store. So I don't know. Is there a Warner Brothers store that's out there somewhere?
There used to be.
So I mean,
in the 90s there was, but
there's not like and of course there are like Sony stores.
Right.
I'm just saying that it's not specifically patterned towards movies. So there is almost a precedent set by Disney. Not necessarily that's to say that it's dictated, but I could see an influence there.
Well, it's not just because they have stores. I mean, all of these companies make a lot of their money through different kinds of merchandising. Okay. But you do make a good point when
it's indicative of a bigger thing.
But there's I think a better point to be made in what you're talking about, which is Marvel is under the Disney umbrella. They really could live without Spider-Man merchandising for 3 years, is kind of what I'm thinking, and then they could capitalize on it a whole bunch after that. I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not real sure what exactly is in it for Marvel to not wait. I guess what I'm saying is, does Marvel make more money in the long run if they wait? If they don't wait, do they make more money if they make a deal with Sony? Now, I'm with you. I would love it if these two companies could potentially. I would love it if these two companies could come together and find a way to make it work, because I like Andrew Garfield in the role. Having said that, what I would have said a couple of years ago, or what I would have said before Andrew Garfield got cast, was I'd like to see it revert back, and I'd also like to just let it breathe a bit and not have to have Spider-Man every couple of years if it's not going to be great, or if people aren't excited about it. For me, it's less the quality of the movies right now, and more people seem kind of sick of it. And you could say these two things are influencing each other. You could say that people are sick of it because they think they're no good. But I've been thinking lately that people would probably accept the movies they're getting right now if they come out 5 or 10 years after the fact, and not right off the heels of Raimi. I think a lot of people's issues with these movies, I think people are more critical of them. And I'm not saying people shouldn't be critical. I'm not saying people shouldn't have their opinions. I understand why people aren't agreeing with me on them. But nothing against anybody. I'm just saying that I do wonder if people would be as critical of them if the novelty of getting to see Spider-Man on screen hadn't worn off already. And you know what I mean? Like, give it another 10 years and then bring him back, and I think Amazing Spider-Man does better numbers. And I think Amazing Spider-Man is more critically successful. And so while there's a part of me that wants to jump on and say, oh, cool, Sony Spider-Man being in this universe would be really neat because it's something that's never happened before. It'd be exciting because it's making history, and that's what Marvel Studios has been all about, making history. So there's a part of me that wants to jump on and just say, ooh, wouldn't that be cool? There's another part of me that wants to let it lie for a while if the new franchise doesn't work out, because you can't really have both. You can't reboot Spider-Man once he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You could recast him, but you can't reboot it after that because now it's part of a thing they're not going to reboot.
I kind of wonder if that thought left me. I have no idea what I was going to say. You're welcome, guys.
I'm sorry. Let me interrupt things really quick and say, first of all, welcome to everybody live who is with us now and wasn't with us when I greeted everybody in the first place. Vince and I are going to talk about this and wrap up for just another 5 minutes. Like I said, I wanted to make sure that we quit before Arrow starts, so that everybody has a chance to watch that's watching it. And it would be like I changed the time of this because I was like, somebody mentioned, oh hey Cap, you're doing this over Arrow, and I never paid that much attention to that because I was watching it after the fact, and I was like, oh yeah, it'd be weird. We do Arrow discussions, but we're going to do a show competing with Arrow. That doesn't make any sense at all. So we're going to stop before Arrow so everybody can go see that. But before that happens, we're going to do one more quick topic for you. So we're going to be here another half an hour. If there is a topic you would like to suggest us to talk about for a few minutes, send that either to geekvolution.com at the contact page. Go to geekvolution.com, go to the contact page, send us topics. We'll be looking at them there. We have the Q&A open, apparently, but I don't see it on the bar. So if that is open, you can leave them there, but I don't know if I'm going to see it. You can also send things on my Twitter. That's that's Geekvolution's Twitter, at Geekvolution. So I've got that open. I got Twitter open. I got the contact thing open. Whichever topic, everybody send topics, because whichever topic Vince and I like the most. Now I do have to say that this is only. Unfortunately, this is only for United States viewers. So if somebody outside of the United States gives us a topic and we like it the most, we'll still do your topic, but we just won't be able to do this for you. But United States viewers, we're going to send you a package of comics from the Comic Book Vault. Whoever gives us the topic we like the most, we're going to do that topic, and we're going to send you a stack of 20 or 30 comics from the Comic Book Vault. So anyway, that's the plan. Send us questions right now, and in the meantime, Vince and I are going to talk about the Spider-Man and Marvel thing for just another couple of minutes.
One quick thing. I want it to happen because I'm excited about the brave approach that Sony's taking with the Sinister Six movie. I just, not to say that they're doing anything special with the Sinister Six movie, but just that they're making it.
Just they're making it. It's cool.
It's a brave choice. And I've said for a while I wanted a villain centerpiece. So, and that's what we're getting here. I hope it's good. And the other thing, I wonder...
And you're going to get lots more of them, too, because we're getting Suicide Squad and stuff.
Heck yeah. So, and I'm not saying that I know anything. I'm just saying that this is a speculation. I wonder if Marvel Studios has to make a certain amount of bucks to maintain independence or something like that. Like, because they're kind of a separate company within Disney right now, right?
Well, yes, but they work autonomously. That doesn't have anything to do with it. And also, no reason to worry about how much money they're making, because Avengers broke records and so did Iron Man 3. So, like, no, they're good. They're like Pixar.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe,
they work autonomously,
they're even considering this because they have a certain amount that they have to make, or a certain percentage of something. I'm not saying I know.
But a certain percentage to do what? Remain autonomous?
Or,
I wouldn't worry about that. Yeah,
I'm not worried about it.
No, I'm just saying I really doubt that that's a thing. Yeah, I'd be really surprised if it worked that way. Like
you said earlier, I just see no reason for them to want to do this, other than what that one article said about wanting everybody, or Marvel wanting to play with all of their characters.
All that's in it for them is getting to use Spider-Man characters, which could be enough. I mean, that could be enough for them. But the other thing is, if they're worried about those 3 years, they don't get merchandising and money, and that's assuming I'm right about that. I read that a couple days ago. I should have a source here to post, and that's very unprofessional of me, and I don't. But that's all I've been able to find of why it matters to them, really. And it's not like let's be fair, they're not fighting for it. You know what I mean? Like both companies right now are just saying this is a thing that we might want to do. I think Sony has more to gain from it. And I think at the risk of sounding mean, I think Avi Arad might be a little bit naive about this. I think that it would help them a lot because when he's like Spider-Man is the most popular character. We don't have any problems, but like people hated your last movie. Like by and large, there's a lot of anger about it, and we're not hearing as much talk about Sinister Six as I kind of expected. Everything I'm reading is saying people aren't as interested in Sinister Six as so. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'm hoping they can keep it going, but like obviously they wouldn't be talking if the problem is we're having to talk so much about rumor. I don't know, but if it is true that they are talking about a soft reboot, they are worried. And that means Marvel could really help them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it would be crazy for Sony not to do it because, I mean, Marvel right now is a moneymaker, and Sony right now is, not necessarily not a moneymaker, but it would be crazy not to jump in bed with somebody who said, here, let me help you make money.
And clearly they're not all in denial, and or maybe even some of them closer to paranoid. If the big thing they're saying right now is we may have to reboot again. I don't want to see a soft reboot. I want Sinister Six to not be that, because a soft reboot usually these days means a reboot somehow inside of continuity, and that would make Sinister Six probably. The only way you can do that really in continuity is to make it some kind of a alternate universe or time travel sort of story. And I don't know that we want that with Sinister Six. I would much rather see it be just a character piece for those characters and not a vehicle to make the continuity what they think they need. And if they feel like they have to recast Andrew Garfield, I don't want to see that. That would hurt my feelings. I like him a lot. I don't think he's the problem. Again, disagree with me if you want to. I don't care. But I think he's fine. I like him a lot. But if they decide he's the problem, I don't understand that. But if they decide he's the problem, they don't need to reboot. Just recast it.
Yeah.
I also don't see how it's broken. Like, even if you didn't like that movie, I don't see what exactly they did in that movie that makes it impossible to forge ahead and make things that people can take seriously.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he's still a guy with spider powers. He's still Peter Parker. Let's just make a movie that stars Peter Parker as Spider-Man.
A lot of people thought that you could make another Sam Raimi movie after Spider-Man 3, and I think there was a lot more stuff in that would have made it hard to move on and take it seriously, or not at least... I mean, this is what I said when I reviewed it, and not at least have to avoid talking about the ways in which Peter Parker seemed kind of reprehensible in that movie. We at least don't have that with Andrew Garfield. You know what I mean? Like again, this is just me. This is my opinion. But at least you get to the end of Spider-Man 3, and I thought, oh, Spider-Man's a murderer. He just ended up not actually murdering anyone and got lucky, so he's not a murderer. But if they had died, he'd have been a murderer. And with Amazing Spider-Man 2, we don't have that. A lot of it is tonal things and taste things, and the villains aren't aren't developed enough. Well, if the next thing we're doing is a Sinister Six movie, clearly the filmmakers are saying, oh, people want villain development. Okay. But of course that's what we want, and yes, that was my biggest problem in that movie. It just didn't completely kill it for me. Vince, let's see what topics people are suggesting. We've got something from Nicholas Sergi. Thoughts on Shatner and Pine sharing the screen with Nimoy and Quinto, and rumor Shatner is future version of Pine and not Prime Kirk. I did a captain's log on this when it was first announced that Orsi was wanting that. I've not commented on this yet. I may talk about that in a second. Let's see what else is going on here. He also asked for thoughts on the female Ghostbusters film announced moments ago. I didn't know about that. There was an announcement. Obviously, I didn't know about that because moments ago I was doing this.
I was at work, so.
But moments ago we were
moments
here.
Ago.
Moments, not hours. Moments ago.
Seconds ago.
Moments. There was talk a couple weeks ago from Dan Aykroyd about doing a shared Ghostbusters universe. I don't know if you heard about that. It sounds really dopey to me.
I don't know how that works.
I don't get it.
What?
Well, I feel like why don't we why don't we get a movie off the ground first? You know, it seems like he's kind of jumping ahead of himself a little bit, right? Like he's not wrong. There are plenty of things you could do with Ghostbusters, but let's make one before we start talking about how we could do one every year and have a TV show and have Macy's Day floats and you know, like before we get into that, you know, Pop-Tarts, like before we get into all of that again. Like, anyway.
Well, there are Krispy Kreme donuts right now that are Ghostbusters things.
Are there really? Well,
they are.
They're not doing a lot of anniversary stuff, but I guess they're doing a couple.
Yeah, it's more a few toys than anything else.
Let's see if we've gotten anything in our email. Spider-Man Sidekick 1 wants to know if we think the FF reboot will fail financially. We can talk about that in a second. And this is from Black Me Gay Men. Do you guys think that this soft reboot could be possibly the introduction of Miles Morales? Interesting. I hadn't thought of that. I kind of doubt it too. I don't know that seems very left field to me because yes, us comic fans go, oh yeah, everybody likes Miles Morales. General public, I don't know that that's the thing to get people more excited about Spider-Man at this moment. I feel like Miles Morales, you could spin him off.
Sure.
I mean, you know, you could do alternate universes and spin him off, but I don't see replacing.
Introduce him, make a Netflix show. Why not?
That's good too. Yeah, well, and you know, if you pace it and plot it like Bendis has, the only possible way you could do that and do it justice would be to make it serialized at about 25 hours. If Marvel gave the choice to pick. I guess he means you. If Marvel gave you the choice to pick and of their characters to make an animated movie, which character would you pick, and why would you think this character would work best with an animation? Okay, so none of these so far are just like straight up GNN topics, and seem to be mostly about the stuff we've talked about already. So I think maybe what we should do right now, Vince, because these are the only things that we've seen, is go ahead and just like answer briefly each of these like kind of Q&A type questions. Yeah. If we see one in the next 20 minutes or 10-15 minutes or so that we're blown away by, we will talk about it briefly and we will still send you a package. So far these seem to be mostly just kind of newsy sorts of questions. What did I think of Flash? Haven't seen Flash yet. I like to wait until the day that I do discussions on it. If I'm not going to have a chance to watch it twice, and I'm so busy this week, I don't have time to watch stuff twice. SUC is on Twitter. Will Gotham discussions be on tonight? Yes, it will. I had issues earlier today. I exported it, and then I had a problem with the file, so I had to redo it. So sorry, Gotham discussions is late, but it is coming, and it's over an hour long. So have fun. It's long. Okay, let's look here. Vince, talk about Ghostbusters for a second.
Well, I mean, at this point, to my understanding, what's his name? Ernie Hudson, in a little Q&A, said that with the death of Harold Ramis, the likelihood of the Ghostbusters film ever getting made is pretty slim, and that at this point, the only person that wants to see it done is Dan Aykroyd.
Wow.
Yeah. And to my understanding, that's what it said. I was reading some comic book themed website, and it was a blog about that. And that's sad to me. I do think I'd like to see another Ghostbusters movie. I mean,
does it need to be those characters? Can we do Ghostbusters and make it some different people?
You know what I'd like it to be, since it seems like Aykroyd's the only one on it, or that's still with it. I kind of want them to do something like Extreme Ghostbusters, not the same thing, but the idea that there's one guy who's still around. Because Ray's occult books existed, I'd like to see Ray still around and still into the whole occult thing, and then Peter and Winston can be off doing their thing, or even Winston can still be around. I don't care, whatever. Yeah. And so people kind of, there's another ghost crisis, so they go to Ray Stantz as kind of a consult, and now he's gotten to a point that he can't physically handle the demands of the job, and now he has to develop a team of Ghostbusters, and I think that would be kind of cool. And
well, let's see,
especially if they had Ernie Hudson with them.
Let's see what this female Ghostbusters thing is about. Now, it says it's officially happening. We've heard this before, so I'm taking that with a grain of salt. But it says the source here is New York Post. After months of swirling rumors, it's official. Ghostbusters reboot starring female leads is now in the works. Paul Feig who did Bridesmaids in the Heat. I think originally he was supposed to be one of the writers. Was he not, of Ghostbusters 3? I thought I heard that. I know you hate Bridesmaids, so the eyes are rolling.
I like the Heat. I hate Bridesmaids.
Okay. He says it's official. I'm making a new Ghostbusters and writing it with Kate Diepold, and yes, it will star hilarious women. That's who I'm gonna call. And since it is not April Fool's Day, it's probably that's probably not a a joke or anything. So, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and somebody, or he said there, I heard this as a rumor thing, Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Linda Cardellini, and Emma Stone.
Yeah.
I have nothing against that group of women. I would like to see them as the Ghostbusters.
I like Emma Stone.
I like Linda Cardellini. I like Melissa McCarthy. I don't like a lot of the roles Melissa McCarthy's in, but if I may show my feminine card here, she was great in Gilmore Girls.
Eric watched that show too.
I've seen about 6 episodes, 2 of them recently, 4 of them a while back, and they were all because my wife put them on. And I kept saying Melissa McCarthy is adorable in that show, and she's really funny, and she's really funny in The Heat. But I just don't want them to do the same thing that they did to what's his name, Jim Carrey, for a while, and said, "Hey, can you play the exact same character every movie you've ever been in?" So let her be something different. Let Kristen Wiig be something different, and by God, make these people sympathetic.
Well, Vince, we got 10 minutes. There's a couple more questions I want to answer briefly, and then there's one that I really, really like, and that's more of a broad GNN topic, and that I think, unless we see another one before I get to it, might be our winner. Might be our winner, Vince.
Yay! I like winner Vinces.
First of all, Jacob Ross on Twitter, what other, at Bocage426, what other Marvel characters would you like to see get Netflix shows? Hit me on the spot with that.
I'd like to see a Daredevil show.
Yeah, I'm so excited about what we're getting right now that nothing is jumping to mind. I feel like other characters that they don't have the rights to right now would be great for Netflix shows.
I'd like to see a Punisher show.
Yeah, that's the big one, isn't it? Thank you. That's the big one, and that makes sense for serialized. I could also, along the same vein, see a Moon Knight show and maybe even a Moon Knight Punisher kind of crossover thing at some point. I can a lot. I think what we're saying is the gritty characters make the most sense for that. Because you can do it with a smaller budget, and they are those kinds of long-form stories. Jesse Garrett's on Twitter, could you see Marvel buying any manga characters, all how they got Angela from Spawn? Yeah, anything can happen. I mean, now that happened, I can kind of see them buying it, and I've been asked that before. Yes, I could. I would not be surprised if I heard of something like that going on, especially if it was somebody that people really liked already that wasn't doing anything right now, kind of like, not that Angela had like a giant fan following or anything, but like she was one of the only characters in Spawn I really liked. Duke, hey, Captain Vince, how you doing?
Hi.
We're good. We're doing all right.
Is that all he said?
That's all he said.
That's great.
Okay, so Vince, this is the question, and tell me if you like this enough to make this the winner, because I do. I think this is the one. At Vince Red Leader 1, and not just because his name seems to be Vince. Or no, I'm sorry, VNC. It's not even Vince. It might be Vince, but it just says VNC. Excuse me. I've been looking at monitors all day long.
His name is Vernon Nicholas Cranston.
Why do writers always go back to the early days of characters, especially Batman? That's the question.
That's fair.
What do you think?
I like
that going?
Why do writers always go back to the early days of the characters?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Is that good?
Yay, winner!
Yeah, that's good. Okay, you're a winner. We like that more than we've liked anything else we've seen so far. So
not that we didn't like the other ones.
No, not that we didn't like the other ones.
Don't take it personally, except for you.
But that just seemed like more of a broad, we could get 20 minutes out of it kind of topic. And now that I've said that, we have 7 minutes to talk about this topic. So let's go ahead and knock it out. And again, please nobody feel bad that we didn't choose your topic. This was just our favorite, and that's our opinion. And this guy is going to get some comics. So as long as he lives in the United States, please send us your address. I will send you a stack of comics from the Comic Vault. And now, Vince, let's talk about the question. First of all, obviously, always Obviously, always is kind of too broad and hyperbolic. I don't think that this is the case. I don't think that we always go back. But it does
Frequently, yeah.
but it does feel that way sometimes, right? It is Morrison's favorite thing to do, and I very often get very giddy when I see this. When I see things that I kind of recognize. When I see like kind of golden age things creeping in, and when like a story that is otherwise contemporary is drawn in an older or kind of classic or kind of iconic style, that gets me excited. I don't know about you, but I really enjoy that.
Now, one of my favorite things is when they go back and find characters that have not been used in years and years and years and make them more interesting. And I mean, Brad Meltzer did that with Dr. Light. Not to say that it was never used, but that he kind of revamped the character and used him to his advantage. And I'm okay with people going back and trying to get back to the roots of a character. I'm fine with that. I do think that a lot of the time people are just trying to show off their knowledge of it. It's kind of like let's
almost fanfic-ish, right? I complain about that with Dan Slott a little bit. Yeah.
So I've always wanted to see this character in this thing, so I'm going to make this thing that has this character.
Or just like a bunch of trivia on every page, so you can look at that and be like, oh my God, he really knows this. He really knows his Spider-Man, or he really knows his X-Men.
And I'm not necessarily hip to the idea of people getting their like people pay. Or I'm not trying to say. I'm not sure how to.
I'm
say
not
this.
trying to say. Anything.
I'm not saying your face is your. So, but I'm not necessarily hip for the idea that people get kudos for having been around for years and years, and they can still read it. I tried to say paying their dues, but that's not what I meant. You know,
okay.
They paid their dues by reading the comic books, and now this is their reward. I don't care. Make a good story. It doesn't necessarily matter if the person who's been reading for years goes, I know what that thing is.
But I can get excited if I see both. Like if I'm really into a story and I really like it, and then somebody brings out a thing that I never thought I'd see again, or that like when somebody brings out something that fits perfectly, and I go, holy crap, I would have never thought of that, and fan cred.
There you go.
I enjoy that. For instance, recently I read it, and I'm not saying this has never been done before. I just don't know, but I had never seen it. Cullen Bunn put. And I don't know who's to give the credit to this, because of course this is part of a lead up to an event. But Red Skull and Magneto facing off. Oh gee, how much sense does that make? He's a Nazi. I never thought of that. You know what I mean? So you know that kind of thing. It's not a great example, but that kind of thing can really excite me. But real quick, we've only got a couple of minutes. Let's try to actually answer the question for a second. Why do we go back? I think we've kind of hit on a couple things. Part of it is to impress people, as you said. I think part of it is to get to fulfill childhood dreams. Here's a thing I never thought I'd get right. This is why I got into comics. I got into this comic to get to write this character. Again, Cullen Bunn told me when I interviewed him several years ago, before he ever got to do it, the big thing I want to do is Devil Dinosaur. He's now done a thing with Devil Dinosaur. So you go to the things that you love, and that it's like such a big deal that you finally get to write. That's a reason. I think some of it too, though, is, and from more of an editorial place, is this story arc was hugely successful. We must milk it for all it is worth. And that's Death of Superman. That's Doomsday. We have rebooted it. We're into 52 now. We still can't tell if Death of Superman actually happened or not, but we still cannot help but do giant mega crossover events featuring Doomsday and most of the major characters in Death of Superman. We are still milking that. And I'm still falling for it and buying it because I collect Doomsday. So I mean, like, people like me are part of the problem there. You see what I'm saying? But it works, and it works in a marketing standpoint, not necessarily a storytelling standpoint, though. You know what I mean? Like I see why folks, and just the way he worded that suggested to me that it irritates him. You know what I mean? Like the implication in that, why do they always do it, is forge ahead, do something new, give me some new characters. Why do you have to always go back to things that I've seen or heard of before? And the thing is, it's a I always say this, it's a commercial medium. We're gonna do what sells books.
It's difficult to make it fresh, but to some extent, I kind of feel like going back to the well, if we can call it that, is kind of like what they did with the old pulp comics, with a guy walks through pulp novels.
Are you going to tell a joke? Is this the beginning of a joke? A guy walks into a
pulp comic and says, "I'm not that looks good." So I once heard that somebody said, I don't know what to do with this pulp novel I'm writing for, and I have a deadline. They say, well, do it the same thing everybody else does. Somebody walks through the door with a gun. And to some extent, you say, well, I need to come up with a new... That's not a joke. That's a thing. I forget who said that, but it was one of the famous pulp writers.
I know what you're talking
And
about.
so you look at... I realize that's my style, though.
Yeah.
But then you look at a comic book, and it seems like going back to the well is the thing they do, instead of a guy walking through the door with a gun. You go back and you say, well, who hasn't been used in a while, or what haven't we referenced in a while, and that's what's going to drive our new story.
The guy walks into a pulp comic, and John Madden says, here's a guy who's black and white. Anyway, that's going to be, I don't know, do I have any other final thoughts on this? I think those are kind of the two big reasons that we do it. And like as I always say, if this is a problem, and yes, it is sometimes a problem, it's an issue of variety. Give us other stuff too, and and also just be clever enough and thoughtful enough to tell good stories when you do it, and I think that it can really enhance a piece. It's all about concept and execution, and it's all about novelty not taking over.
Yeah, anything that you do too much is just for the sake of doing it, has no
moderation.
Power.
Yeah.
Just because you use profanity doesn't mean the thing you're saying is more emphasized because of it. It just means that you're more profane.
Yeah, profanity can be part of your style, but once you degenerate into nothing but it, what do you have?
Yeah, and if all you're doing is nothing but novelty,
what do you have?
Novelty.
Exactly. That's right. And profane novelty. Novel profanity. Well, anyway, everybody, thanks as always for watching. We sure appreciate it. I would love to hear feedback from people about if you enjoyed this as a live show and getting to see us doing Geeks Not Nerds live. We are considering doing this more often this way. This is about the length the show usually is these days. We didn't get to rant. Vince, did you have a rant?
I did.
Can we do them real quick?
Sure.
Do we have time to do quick rants?
Sure.
Okay. We've got just a couple minutes. We'll do quick rants because I'm gonna sneak that in here so that people don't think that the show is all that different from what it normally is. But we just thought we'd give you folks a chance to get to kind of involve yourselves in the show a little bit. And I miss having Vince live, and we haven't had any reason to do live shows lately. So it's yeah. Anyway, Vince, real quick, what is your rant?
I'm kind of annoyed by the idea that there are so many lame Halloween things. And I mean, like, you go to, let's say, Walgreens, and I did this the other day, where I saw this Medusa head, and I went, well, that's really interesting, and it moves or something. So I hit the button, and its eyes lit up, and then the snake started moving, and I thought, that's really creepy, and the eyes lit up in a certain way, and it had this ambiance about it, and I thought, that's a great idea. And then it said, come on, take a peek. And I went, that's really stupid. That's annoying. Why can't we have more, like, legitimately creepy things for Halloween? And then
you went from I'd have bought that for the front of my house on Halloween to
Yeah, that's a great idea. One, it's mythology, and two, it's really creepy. And then three, you made it lame with some kind of voiceover. Can't we just do creepy things? And then directly next to it, something kind of revived my hope for Halloween novelties. And there was a guy sitting in an executioner's chair, an electric chair, and I hit the button, and it was creepy.
Yeah,
it was like
was it like Marv in Sin City?
No.
Oh,
that was maybe a little more BA. But,
yeah.
But this little plastic man,
McFarlane Toys made that figure, and it was amazing.
This little plastic man flailed and screamed. It was creepy, and I went, that's not too scary that I wouldn't have it in my house, but that is legitimately creepy. So I want more legitimately creepy stuff for Halloween.
Oh, I didn't mean for that to be right in your face.
Yeah, have an apple.
My rant for today is it relates to something I talked about a minute ago, which is, and I've talked about this before, but more specifically, more pointed, rumor versus news on the internet, especially with comic book and geek stuff, because and this is just a personal thing for me mostly, but I'm sure this irritates a lot of people who do anything similar to what I do, and that is, now that I'm doing captain's logs and people like to hear me talk about something as soon as it happens, I'm having a very difficult time deciding when to do one. I'm finding it really hard to know, should I wait until a thing is, and I love to hear people's feedback on this, should I wait until I know for sure that this thing is confirmed? And the problem is sometimes you still don't know for sure. It can be a week, and it's like it seems to be confirmed, and then a week later, oh wait, no, some reputable source blew something that somebody said out of the water. Like yesterday, we thought Iron Man 3 or Iron Man 4 was happening. Today, it's not happening, and I'm not making that up. That just happened. So this is the thing. Like last night, I was talking to Steve Baxi, and Steve was like, "Oh, Cap, there's a thing you're gonna have to make a captain's log on. Iron Man 4 is happening today. It's not happening. When do I do them? You know what I mean? Like because the thing is, when it's rumor, and we're pretty sure it's rumor, but there's a good chance it might happen. I kind of did this with the Robert Orsi thing with Shatner. Oh, we didn't talk about the Shatner thing. I'll see if I can get that in a video sometime soon. I'm sorry about that. I didn't get to that. Anyway, when things like that happen, I'm like, eventually, once it's finally confirmed, we know for sure it's happening. It's going to be old news. Which is weird because it wasn't news in the first place, but everybody will have had would have talked about it. It will have already been done with the trending. You know, it's like once the thing's off the trending list, it doesn't matter anymore. You know, and I'm just like, I mean, it does, but it does. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, are people even going to be interested in hearing about it anymore? And so I don't know. It's just I find it really difficult to not just to tell what is rumor and what isn't sometimes, but also to decide like, is it even relevant anymore? And I don't just mean now for my purposes, but like it's almost like it's not relevant anymore by the time that we can tell for sure that it's news because we're done talking about it. And that's an internet time thing. And
yeah, that's really difficult for releasing a video. Yes, leave your feedback.
So you can see why I wanted to rant about that. That can be kind of irritating. Anyway, thank you folks so much for watching. Sure, appreciate you. I'm sorry that it is difficult for us to respond directly to your comments because of the way Google Hangouts work now. And I know this has been going on for a long time, but it's still kind of irritating. I went back, Vince, recently to some old live shows and noticed that lots more that like we had almost a couple hundred more people watching them when they could comment with us. And I think it's really unfortunate that because I realize, and I'm not knocking anybody for not watching these when they're live. It's not as much fun if you can't directly not only talk to us but talk to each other in the comments. A lot of people would show up. I'm working on a fix for this. I'm hoping I can find some place, and if anybody knows of something, let me know. I'm hoping I can find a place where we can have like our own private chat room, and you guys can chat with each other while we're doing the video. I'm looking for something like that. Anyway, thanks a bunch for watching. We sure appreciate it. We want to do these more often live. We're talking about it. You guys let us know if you like that idea or not. We had a good number of folks watching us right now. We sure appreciate you for being here. Thanks so much, Vince and I always have a great time doing it, and we will see you again in some form next week. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince, reminding you to support your local comic book store and go watch Arrow.
We'll see you later.